What's good, YouTube? It's Dark Fan here, giving you a quick video on how to beat Chaos Dragons. Right now, Chaos Dragons are a really good deck with a lot of new support, a lot of combo plays with a lot of versatility. It's seen an increase in online play because people know that it is an actual good deck with a lot of combo plays. So, with that said, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce a couple of honorable mentions in order to basically side against them and how to beat them. So the way that I basically put these together was that there's a lot of actual side deck cards that a lot of people do videos on. So that's why I kind of made them as honorable mentions because they're very repetitive and not really well known to the ones that I'm going to mention right now. So Duty Crow is obviously a really good card going first or second, really versatile card. Macrocosmos going first card shuts down a lot of actual decks that require the graveyard as a resource. And lastly, Dimension Shifter going first card against your opponent. Going second card against your opponent basically shut down anything that is going to go to the graveyard, to put it simply. So with that said, I'm just going to go ahead down the list and start with number 5. So these are really kind of old school cards that haven't really seen a lot of play, but in reality, they still have an actual presence in the metagame from my perspective. So right now, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, depending what type of variant you play for Chaos Dragons, if it's a dark heavy monster deck, then this is the card you want to actually side with. So it's a going first card. It shuts down dark monster effects. It negates all dark monster effects activated on the field or in the graveyard for the most part. It's really crucial to kind of like stop the recruiters, basically the basic cards that get the deck going in itself, normal summons, that type of thing. So moving down the list, we're gonna go ahead and go for number 4. So same thing, similar, the exact opposite of Dark is gonna be Light Imprisoning Mirror. So it's again going first card. It shuts down light monster effects. It negates all light monster effects activated on the field or in the graveyard. Really good. It was really key back in the day when chaos were actually prevalent when they first came out. So I figured this was an actual a good card to mention since it hasn't seen a lot of play or mention at all. So this actually does shut down the variant that uses light monsters, which is the Light Swarm variant. That shuts down the Raiden, the Luminas, anything like that. Really good card to start your hand with. So again, next up, number 3. So number 3, a monster, a anti-meta stun deck card, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, going first card. Against the mirror match, it's actually pretty good depending on like if you want to use your Sarugia normal summon. You can set him up against your opponent and you'd be really good position to kind of like lock down your opponent to a certain extent. So if people don't know what this does, it basically says when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target up to 2 monsters in the graveyard, banish those targets, and a continuous effect, your opponent cannot banish cards from either player's graveyard. So that's really key to for your opponent not to banish their cards from either player's graveyard in the mirror match. I like this card a lot. It's very dynamic, very well rounded for a normal summon monster, and it's a dark as well for your chaos support. So with that said, just a quick reminder for everybody, guys. Every little subscribe helps. Turn on those notifications. I really appreciate it. Trying to get back into this. So with that said, let's move on to number 2. So the difference between number 2 and number 1 were slightly marginal. This is what I felt was the best one. Going for a second option. So Ally of Justice Cycle Reader. Basically, it functions as a DD Crow times 2, but for light monsters. So it's a really good going first or second card. It is a tuner machine monster. Tuner, it opens up a lot of combo plays depending on what deck you're playing. It's a combo deck or the actually like Chaos Dragon deck against the mirror match. Banish 2 light monsters in your opponent's graveyard. Very versatile. One thing that I noticed is that if you normal summon it as attack 1000, so you can use the link monster that you can Armorage, I think, something like that. If that's a toolbox for you, depending on what deck you're playing. So really good card, really underrated, not a lot of play. But whenever it comes to chaos monster combo decks, this is a really good card to use. And lastly, number 1, very, very underrated card, Ally of Justice Quarantine. So it's a going first card, or depending if you're doing it for the mirror match, it could be an actual setup with Saruja with your additional normal summon. It basically neither player can special summon light monsters. So that's really powerful depending on what deck you're playing in. I liked it back in the day when Chaos Dragons was running around. They were running more light monster heavy variants. So this literally shut them down because there was not a lot of actual monster negation back in the day. But with that said, of course, you have to look out for impermanence and other cards that negate monster effects. But I felt this card was a really good, well-rounded monster. Machine, attack attributes were really good. A dark for the chaos support if you're playing that actual deck in itself. But with that said, guys, that was my top 5 cards to side against and how to win against Chaos Dragons. There's a lot of other cards, really powerful cards, but I just wanted to focus on ones that were not really mentioned at all in the last couple of years in the meta game. So thank you for watching again. Every view counts. I appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to share. I appreciate it. And remember to keep it 8,000. Until next time, peace.